What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F123 for My Team Career Mode, Season 2, Round number 9, the Belgian Grand Prix. We're back from the summer break, and we have our teammate contract renewal to go through, so we're going to approach Tsunoda once again. He accepts the approach, so we're just going to go for the low risk here, because we don't want to go too crazy with it, get too cocky, and we do re-sign Tsunoda for the second half of this season, so don't really want to switch up. He's not been doing quite as good as I would have hoped, but he's also had a bit of bad luck here and there, so I think, perfectly fine to keep him on for the rest of this season. Gonna stick a couple of upgrades on the car, which aren't going to come through until the Netherlands next race after this one, so we'll see how they do when they come through. Looking at R&D, McLaren have had an absolute jump up in R&D. I did this race just as the recent update came out, and yeah, it's boosted McLaren up to now second in R&D. They're just behind Mercedes, just ahead of Aston Martin, so we're actually now fourth in R&D, so we'll see how that will change things here, because yeah, McLaren weren't really anywhere. They were towards the bottom end of the top 10 mostly throughout pretty much this entire career mode. They haven't even had a podium yet in this whole career mode, so could McLaren now become championship contenders halfway through the second season? We'll have to wait and see. Getting through in Q1 here, yeah, not really much to say, to be honest. We raced here in season 1, and from what I remember we did okay. I think we had an engine penalty for the race, because this is of course a sprint weekend, but for the main race we had, I think, an accidental a grid penalty, because we changed components between kind of the sprint and practice session, and it kind of stuffed up. We've had the same issue we had last season as well, though, with a bunch of drivers getting grid penalties, because in qualifying they all jam up together. I find this in this game, but mostly on this track, which is weird. I don't know why it's on this track so specifically, because this is the longest track on the calendar. But for some reason, all the drivers, it's mainly like when they do their final run in qualifying, in that qualifying session, they all go out at the same time, end up nose to tail to each other, and then they end up blocking each other on their quick laps, and a bunch of people get penalties. I've seen it on pretty much every track, but it's only this track where you seem to get, 5 or more drivers getting penalties for blocking. So something that they really need to fix in this game. It was never an issue with previous games. I don't know what they've done in this game for this to be such a big issue. That is something that needs fixing. So EA, Codemasters isn't really a thing anymore, is it? So EA, yeah, fix it, because it's honestly a bit of a pain in the ass. We go through into Q3, we go quickest in Q2, so showing some good pace in the car. Tsunoda, though, is out P14. It's not a good qualifying from Tsunoda at all, to be honest. The McLaren's looking very quick, though. The Mercedes actually not looking as quick as expected, and we get into Q3 now, onto our quick lap here. We head through turn 1 and down this little straight here up to Rouge. Of course, this is a very tricky part of the track, but I mean, you can pretty much be flat through here if you get it correctly. Just, make sure you're on the correct line, don't go too wide, and you'll be fine flat through there. And then our great straight line speed boosts us down this straight here into this next fairly tricky section, but a fun section, especially when you get it right. I think we've got one of the Alpines behind us who also looks pretty quick here. That Alpine is in the mid pack, but I mean, everybody is so close on R&D. They have been this entire career mode, to be honest. So it really doesn't take much for a team that you don't really expect to be that quick to actually be right up there. And the Alpine's looking fairly quick at the moment. As we now go through the fast left-hander of, I believe that is Pouon, is it? I'm not great with corner names, but I believe that is that corner. Into this section here, I was having a little trouble maybe braking a bit too late into that corner. We get it right this time though. Now this is a corner here that I was struggling with a little bit. Actually turn in a bit too early that time around. Doesn't lose us too much time, but just not the optimal line. And then we boost down this last straight, which isn't really a straight, but this is flat out all the way through. The game tells you, to slow down a little bit here. You don't need to. The AI do tend to. So you gain a little bit of time on the AI through that section as we now head into the bus stop chicane. Very good. A little bit too much on the curb on the left there, but we now put the DRS down, put the power down, cross the line. In the end, it's second fastest because Oscar Piastri has got pole position for the sprint race, of course, but it's Piastri in the McLaren, just showing how good that McLaren is now. And Lando Norris is third, so first and third for McLaren in qualifying. And then Esteban Ocon is fourth in the Alpine, so great from Alpine as well. But yeah, McLaren definitely got some upgrades on the car this weekend. Let's see what they can do in the race. Let's see what we can do as well.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, and Davies completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Ocon, Hamilton, Leclerc, Gasly, Sainz, Russell, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Perez, Tsunoda, Bottas, Stroll, Joe, Magnussen, Sargent, Doohan, De Vries, and Liam Lawson. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Okay, so it's time for the sprint race in Belgium. We're starting on the front row of the grid, but it's McLaren 1-3. These guys showing that the McLaren is going to maybe take go for a bit of a challenge into the second half of this season. I think they're a bit too far back to pose a proper threat to myself and Hamilton, but let's see what they can do as Piastri keeps the lead through turn 1 and up Rouge and Radion. We got it a little bit wrong around there, just losing a bit of time. And yeah, Piastri's had a great start to this race. It looks like Norris has been overtaken by Hamilton, who started on the soft compound tyres. We've all started on the medium. Most people started on the mediums. Well, I say started on the mediums. We'll be on the mediums for the entire sprint, because in a sprint race you don't really expect to be coming in for a pit stop. So it is medium versus soft. See which one is better here. But yeah, Piastri has absolutely, I mean, he's already got almost a second gap to us in the lead here. He's absolutely flown off the line and showing that McLaren is now very, very rapid. It is so quick, the McLaren here. Just such a big jump up in performance at this halfway point of the season. And Piastri, the one putting it to work most here at the moment, you know, beating his teammate in qualifying and doing a very good job. So let's see if he can convert this, because yeah, he's already got almost a second gap to us. We're slightly being hounded by Hamilton here actually on those soft compound tyres, and we're struggling a little bit on this first lap to keep with the McLaren driver. But we have managed to just about hold on to second place at the start of this sprint race, head into the chicane to finish our first lap. And yeah, this could be an interesting race here. McLaren, as Piastri crosses the line and now has over a second gap to us, this could be very interesting. As we have a look at Hamilton on the start here, he gets past, who was that, Esteban Ocon right at the start, is fighting with Norris as they head through, is it La Source turn 1? I believe it is, and he gets past Norris before they even get up to Rouge. That's a very good start for Hamilton on those soft compound tyres. A driver who did not have a good start was Fernando Alonso. He's already been overtaken by 2 cars, make that 3, make that 4 with the Alfa Romeo, and now he's got his teammate Lance Stroll around the side of him. Alonso has lost, I believe, 5 positions just going into turn 1. A terrible start for the 2-time world champion in the Aston Martin. We continue on to lap number 3, and yeah, we are just about staying with Piastri. We're just about managing to stay within DRS, but it is very difficult here, and Hamilton is also rather quick on those soft tyres. Give it a few laps and he will probably slow down though. On to lap number, I believe, 5 now though, and we have now fallen outside of DRS from Piastri, and now having to go a little bit defensive against Hamilton. He was a bit too far back there, but we're using quite a lot of battery to make sure we keep our championship rival of Hamilton behind us. But yeah, at the moment, Piastri looking like this is going to be an easy win for him. Max Verstappen is making his way through the order after not the best qualifying in the world. He's fighting with Alexander Albon, who's always putting on a good performance in that Williams car. Verstappen, though, manages to get past Albon, his former teammate, of course, and up another position there. But yeah, Red Bull and Verstappen not having an amazing season so far. as now Lando Norris, as his tyres on the final lap of the sprint are now better than Hamilton's. He's now going for a move back on Hamilton for that P3 position, and he gets it done. So, I mean, it's only a sprint, so not really podiums here, but technically this could be, and is looking like it's going to be, a double podium of sorts for McLaren. The two Alpines now fighting each other as well. Ocon had a great qualifying, but Gasly has now caught right up to him, and on the final lap here, Gasly trying to get past his teammate, and he does. That's Gasly now up ahead of Ocon. Gasly definitely been the better, the most, just the better of the two Alpines this season. You know, he got a podium first round in Saudi Arabia, so that is awesome to see him still making good progress. As we head round the final couple of corners here, Piastri has gone on to pretty much dominate this sprint race. He's going to win his first race in Formula 1. It is only the sprint race, of course, not the main race. We come home P2, and it is going to be Lando Norris P3. It's a McLaren 1-3 in the sprint race. What a performance from them. What a step up in performance, you know, in the summer break. They've absolutely just brought these upgrades to the car, and yeah, a 1-3, and Piastri's first win. It is only a sprint race, but he has won a race in Formula 1 now. Hamilton manages P4, so only loses 2 points to us in the championship. Tsunoda P12, so we made up a couple of positions, but no points for him. Yeah, interesting. This is very interesting at this halfway point of the season, seeing McLaren have this jump up in form. Let's see if they can keep it going for the main race. It is time for the Belgian Grand Prix.
Welcome to this visit to the Ardennes countryside. Spa-Francorchamps hosted its first Grand Prix back in 1925, and this historic track is loved by drivers and fans alike, and us here in the commentary box too. So it's a warm welcome from the Belgian Grand Prix. Spa-Francorchamps then, a historic 19-corner circuit with a lap distance of 4.35 miles. There's over 100 metres of elevation change here, and with long stretches of the lap spent flat out, a good top speed will be vital for success. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Davies lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Ocon, Sainz, Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen, Albon, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Bottas, Sargent, Stroll, Doohan, Liam Lawson, De Vries, Magnussen, Joe, Perez, and Oscar Piastri. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Davies. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long-term remains to be seen.
So Piastri unfortunately takes a grid penalty and drops him down to dead last position, which means that we are on pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. We do have a McLaren on the front row of us though, and it's Lando Norris as we go into turn one. We actually go a little bit deep through that first corner, but I'm just trying to defend from Norris here. Looks like Hamilton is kind of under threat actually from Ocon just behind us, so that's interesting to see the Alpine with good pace right now. Of course, Gasly beat Ocon, but Ocon has a grid penalty. Gasly had a grid penalty, so falls back. But already lap number one here down the straight, and Norris is already attacking us as we try and stay alongside him through this corner. He's just about ahead, but we managed to get the better run around the outside, and we stay in the lead of this Belgian Grand Prix. But already the McLaren starting to put pressure on us at the start of this race. These guys are looking like an absolute force to be reckoned with. That McLaren team, really excited to see what they can do for the rest of this season and beyond. But for now, first half of the lap or so done, we have managed to just about keep the lead of this race around the very fast left-hander. Norris is so quick around that corner, but we've just about managed to stay ahead for now, and we'll just continue on here. Hamilton has managed to stay ahead of Ocon just about as well, but yeah, this is an interesting prospect here because it's not just Hamilton. I've been so used to pretty much just fighting Hamilton and, you know, occasionally recently Russell in the Mercedes, but it looks like the McLarens are gonna kind of put a bit of a, they're gonna perhaps disrupt this championship battle between myself and Hamilton, as once again Norris is just all over the back of us. We go quite deep into the chicane. Norris has a little look. We're just under so much pressure here trying to keep the position, but we do manage to just about keep the lead after lap number 1. But now on to lap number 3, we head up Rouge through Radion, and Norris is still right at the back of us, and he's actually made a little bit of a gap to Hamilton behind. And once again, lap number 3, same place as he tried it on the first lap. He's gone for the move again, round the outside. It's going to be the same thing again though. We're just going to keep our car alongside, give him the room, but not too much, and just about keep that position for now. But a lot of pressure being put on myself by Lando Norris right here. As further back, we have Nick De Vries. He's behind one of the Hasses here, as there's a bit of a battle going on just behind him. He heads around this right-hand corner, gets the back, stepped out a little bit, and he's gone for a spin. That is De Vries spun around, and he's now right at the back of the field. Very unfortunate for him. Just a little bit too much power around that corner, and then gets a bit of a tank slapper on, spins it round. Thankfully, everybody avoids him, but yeah, another one to forget for De Vries. I really wish I could switch him out for Ricciardo. You know, the new update has meant that Ricciardo's now in that game, but if you already had a save, the drivers don't change, so I wish we could change it because that would be cool. Lap number 4 though, Norris just has the speed. We don't have the power, we don't have the ERS, and Norris is now up into the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. We have lost the lead on lap number 4, so that is not what we wanted. George Russell trying to make his way now past Esteban Ocon, who had a great start, but has fallen back from Hamilton a little bit here, as he's now fighting with the other Mercedes, but has gotten his elbows out and has managed to stay ahead of George Russell. So Ocon doing a good job here. He has not had a very good season. He had only scored 2 points up until the sprint race, where I think he scored another like 5, but only had 2 points in the first half of the season. He's now though battling up in a high position, still defending from Russell. Great driving from Ocon. Maybe this is finally the time where he starts to get on a level with his teammate, and once again for a second lap running defends from George Russell. As we head into the chicane here, on lap number 9, we are coming in for our pit stop onto a set of hard compound tyres. Now, hard is not really what I wanted to do, but we didn't have a set of mediums after using them in the sprint. We didn't have another set, so we're having to go onto the hards, but I believe a lot of other people will be going onto the mediums, and sure enough, Lando Norris is on the medium tyres. So we're at a distinct disadvantage now, coming in the same lap as Norris, but we're on the hards, he's on the mediums. This could screw us over a bit here. We just didn't have the mediums, used them in the sprint, and obviously used them up in practice as well. It also doesn't help that we came out just behind Piastri, who hasn't come in for his pit stop yet. Norris has managed to get past his teammate straight away, not held him up at all here, but now we are going to be stuck behind Piastri. This has really worked out for Lando Norris, because yeah, we're now in the twisty second sector and final sector, and we're stuck behind Norris's teammate as he can just kind of go off ahead, and you know, he's still got the net lead of this race, and he can just now extend his gap, because we couldn't do anything with Piastri through these corners. And I mean, he's on soft compound tyres, they're worn softs, but still got a lot of pace in that McLaren car. As now Norris has Sergio Perez, the car ahead of him, also not come into the pit yet. He started on the medium compound tyres, but Norris is going to really try and get past him as soon as he can. Does not want to lose any time here. Up the inside into the chicane. Great late braking from Norris, and he is now past Perez, and I believe it is now effectively the actual P. It's actually P1 now, I believe. So great work from him. We have Hamilton all over the back of us. He's also on the medium compound tyres. We just didn't have the mediums, and this could really screw up our race here. As Hamilton into the chicane, he's going to try and go round the outside. We just can't defend from him. He's up there, up the inside. He gets past us, but we're now going to try and get the switch back to the outside as we head down the main straight, or down the front straight into turn 1. Try and keep it on the outside there. We can't though. He can just brake later. Has more grip on those medium compound tyres. We're going to try and stay behind him though, to head up Rouge. Maybe we can get a run on him down that straight as we now head up Rouge through Radion. We get a little bit of a wiggle on, a little bit more on the curb, and we've spun the car around. We've hit the wall. There's front wing damage, and that was not good. We've just got, I guess, the dirty air behind Hamilton has just cost us there, has spun us round, and we're going to have to now come in. We've dropped outside of the points already. There goes my teammate past me. We've fallen all the way back to P14 at the moment. It's going to be even more than that when Piastri overtakes us as well. Here's a replay, just a little bit too much dirty air, I think, behind Hamilton, up on the curb, spins the car around, hits the wall. You can see there is damage to the front left end plate of the front wing there. And this is a view from behind. You can see we wiggle around all over the place, spin into the wall. That's a nice little view there from the back of Hamilton's car. That's going to bring us into the pits because we have way too much wing damage. We're going to have to change the front wing. That's going to really cost us here. We're onto a set of soft tyres though, because we did have a new set of softs. It is a slow pit stop though, even considering front wing. The front wing change was also a couple of seconds slower than expected. We're coming out dead last, P21, the only car behind us, Lance Stroll, who had a mechanical failure a bit earlier on. And we've got a big gap of about 15 seconds to De Vries, the next car. Unless something crazy happens, I don't think we're going to be scoring points in this race today, just because of that little mistake there. I guess just just fighting for it a bit more, going a bit more aggressive than perhaps I should have, trying to make up for the deficit on those hard compound tyres. Really, yeah, it's cost us in this race. This could be a big swing in the title race. My teammate Yuki Tsunoda is also not having good pace here. He's now got Max Verstappen, I think that was Sergio Perez, who's now gotten past him and up another position, and Tsunoda is also out of the points. So at this current point in time, looks like we're not even going to score any points for the team this race. Carlos Sainz coming under fire from George Russell as they head down the straight here. Russell on the inside. Sainz going to try and keep it around the outside. Good bit of defensive driving from the Spaniard, but he cannot quite keep Russell behind. And this is going to become a little bit of a story for Sainz. We'll see a little bit later. Lap number 17, we do manage to catch up to De Vries on these soft compound tyres. We are very quick. They were a brand new set of softs, so that's the thing. I had an extra set of soft tyres, but didn't have a set of mediums. So that, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't look like it's going to matter anyway as we go for a bit of a late, risky move down the inside of De Vries, just trying to have a little bit of action here because we're so far behind the next car up the road, who I believe is Liam Lawson. I don't think we're going to catch him by the end of the race, so if we can just have one overtake here, that would be good. Yeah, like I said, Sainz starting to struggle a little bit in that Ferrari. I think he's also on the hard compound tyres, so he's perhaps done the same strategy as us. I can't remember if he started on mediums or softs, but he's on the hards. Alonso on the mediums, now gotten past Sainz, and now Max Verstappen is the next car to try and get past the Spaniard. Fairly easy, down the main straight, up the inside. Sainz cannot quite defend in time. Verstappen there. Sainz though will try and hang on once again, just like he did with Russell. Might have been a little bit of contact around that corner there, but Verstappen will get past. And now Sainz has got Pierre Gasly right behind him, who I believe is now sitting in P10. So Gasly looking at scoring points from a lowly starting position. So not looking too bad for him all in all. Russell is trying to now get past Alexander Albon, who, by the way, sitting in P5. Albon is currently sitting P5 in the Williams. It's now P6, but it's that 21 of 22, and Albon was looking at a top 5 finish in the Williams. He is doing a remarkable job in that car. Unfortunately doesn't have the pace though, and on the final lap of the Grand Prix, Alonso is now here as well, and with the DRS will breeze up alongside Albon. They will fight each other through this next set of corners though in this first sector. Albon trying to hang on to that P6, but he will fall back to P7. He will manage to stay ahead of Max Verstappen though, so Albon will finish P7 in this race, but it was looking like P5, a very good result for him. But the driver and the team of this weekend, it's McLaren and it's Lando Norris from second on the grid. He may have got beaten by his teammate in the sprint race. Piastri won the sprint race, but it's going to be Lando Norris who wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Actually slows down right at the end, almost gets caught by Hamilton right at the end of this race, but Norris wins his first race in Formula 1, the Belgian Grand Prix. It is a victorious day for McLaren, we end up coming home in P19. It is a dismal result for us. Tsunoda also doesn't score points. It is a 0-point race for TGL Motorsports. Not what we wanted at all here. It's been our first falter really of this season, so you know, I guess that's one thing. It's the first time, but hopefully this isn't a thing to come. Perez gets driver of the day. What an interesting race.
What a great race then, and a magnificent victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
Well, tyre management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. And no doubt, they'll be celebrating tonight.
It's actually a very exciting podium. As Lando Norris on the top step of the podium. For the first time in his Formula 1 career, he wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton there in second place. Couldn't quite get the win, but that's a big swing for him in the championship, gaining a lot of points on us, 18 points on us in this race. And Esteban Ocon gets his first podium of this career mode in third place. So both Alpine drivers now being on the podium in this season 2, both Alpines on the podium, so that is pretty good from them. Just like in real life actually, both Alpines have been on the podium, and yeah, so it's a great result from Ocon after a pretty poor first half of the season. Like I said, Albon finished P7, so a good result from him. Leclerc, we didn't really see him at all, but he finished P4 in the race, so a good result from him. Yeah, P19 for us. It was a DNF as well for Piastri, so it's actually probably good that Piastri had that penalty started down the back, because if he was, you know, leading the race and had a mechanical failure, that would have been pretty awful for him. And yeah, Hamilton has caught up to us significantly. He's only 10 points behind us now in the Drivers' Championship, so it's still all to play for. And we still haven't had a mechanical failure so far in this season. Neither has Hamilton, to be honest. But yeah, I expect there to be at least one mechanical failure coming up. So this championship is definitely not over yet. Tsunoda's down to P12. He does not score any points either and is falling down the order, but it is very close in that kind of back end of the top 10 and beyond. And Mercedes also kind of step away from us a little bit in the constructors. They're like 66 points or something ahead of us now, but still everything is to play for. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.